Hi, this is Elliot Eisenberg of Graphs and Laughs, here to catch you up to date on the latest in residential sales data for Hillsborough County. In Hillsborough County, single-fam home prices went up a strong 6.2%, the best across all three counties and both types of properties. Multifam performance was also quite good, the best for multifam across all three counties, up a solid 2.2%. Sales activity declined 2.8% for single fam and a larger 11.6% for multifamily. Sales price as a function of list price increased for both single and multifamily. For single, it went up to 96.4%, and for multifam, it went up to 97.1%, the highest percentage across both types of properties across all three counties. Pending sales declined 9.4% for single fam and 9.3% for multifam. Lastly, inventory increases are relatively large across all three counties. Here in Hillsborough, up 20.7% for single fam and 60.6% for multifamily. In Pasco County, median single-family home prices went up 4.5% year over year and 1.6% for multifam activity. Sales activity went up 2.8% for single-fam, the best across all three counties for single-fam properties, and a very strong 25.4% for multi, by far the best across all three counties and both types of properties. Sales price as a function of list price rose to 96.5% for single fam and rose a little bit to a higher level of 96.6% for multifamily. Pending sales activity slipped 4.6% for single fam and just a tiny 2.3% for multifam. That was the best multifam performance across all three counties. Inventories, like elsewhere, increased quite substantially, 37.3% for single fam and 84.3% for multifamily. In Pinellas County, single-fam home prices rose 5.1% year over year, whereas multifam prices eased 1.4% year over year. Sales activity declined 5.4% for single-family and 14.1% for multifamily. Sales price as a function of list price strengthened to 95.6% for single fam, but eased to 94% for multifamily. Pending sales activity slipped just a tiny bit, 0.2% on the single fam side. That's the best performance across all three counties and both types of properties. Multifam pending sales activity slipped 4%. Lastly, inventories, while they increased across all three counties and both types of properties, increased more in Hillsborough County than elsewhere. They went up 51.6% for single family, the most across all three counties, and 88.7% for multi, the largest increase across all three counties and both types of properties. Turning our attention to the national economy, GDP continues to slow. In Q3, GDP was slightly over 5%. In Q4, slightly over 3%. And currently in Q1, expectations are that it's going to end up somewhere around 2%. So meaningful slowdown, but still decent GDP growth. As for the labor market, it also is starting to slow. For example, unemployment has jumped from a low of 3.4% about 10 months ago to 3.9%. Hours worked are slipping, and so on and so forth. The Fed's closely watching this, as am I. Inflation, however, fortunately, is also declining, but not fast enough for the Fed to start lowering rates quickly. The Fed was ready to lower rates, and then suddenly the inflation numbers slowed down. And while inflation's falling, it's now falling at a much slower pace than it did before. So the Fed's now saying we're going to hold off until we're a little more certain that inflation's continuing to fall, and hope that this is not a head fake that inflation's giving us. This has caused markets a little bit to be perturbed. If you'll remember 5-6 months ago, when interest rates exceeded 30-year mortgage rates exceeded 7%, markets became very depressed because for a month or two, inflation numbers were high and things looked bad. Then, late in the year, early this year, interest rates fell quite substantially, 30-year mortgage rates and Treasury did, because markets got suddenly very excited about inflation numbers. In both cases, the Fed didn't do much, and the Fed's not doing a lot now, but they've changed their rhetoric ever so slightly. And fortunately, now we have markets and the Fed in the same place, with the expectation that interest rates will be cut 2 to 3 times in the second half of this year. Right, the second half. So we've still got a little ways to go before the Fed lowers rates. If we're lucky, they'll happen in June, so the end of the second quarter. If we're unlucky, they'll probably happen in July, but it's very likely the Fed will lower rates. They may lower them every other meeting, so again, 2 or 3 times before the year is through. The biggest concern I have going forward remains the fear of a mild recession. Historically, every recession that we have almost always starts off as a soft landing, sort of where we are right now. And the reason we go from the soft landing to the recession is because the Fed keeps rates too high for too long. Exactly what I fear now. That said, the amazing resiliency of the US economy has so far kept any recession fears at bay. Let's hope it stays that way.